We know how to find the vertex. We know how to solve those quadratics. And so I had you doing all that stuff in this project to lead you into answering some questions where I started asking you about the maximums and the minimums and things along those lines. So that's what this section does. Here is my first question. I want to know if this would have a maximum or a minimum value. Now we actually have done this before, back when we talked about the graphs. And how did we decide? Right. It's a positive, which means it opens up. So is it a maximum or a minimum? Minimum. And anytime I ask you for the maximum or minimum, what am I asking you to find?
The vertex.
Vertex. How do we find a vertex?
So it would be 2
Opposite b over 2 times a. So that's the 1/3. So that gives me the x value. The actual highest or lowest point is the y. How do we get the y from there? You take your x and plug it in. Is it 2/3? Okay. So my actual minimum value is 2/3, the lowest y value this thing ever hits. Is that one okay? So let's, using this information, kind of lead into another question. So x is going to be one of 2 positive numbers whose sum is 33. Okay, did I tell you what the other number was? No. So what do you want to call it? Well, x is one of them. What would the other one be?
Y.
Y. What does sum mean?
And
So if you add these things, it equals 33. But we know we can't solve equations with multiple variables. So I want you to represent the other number in terms of x. If I want to get y by itself, what would y be?
33 minus x.
So that's the other number. If they add up to 33, then one number is x. The second number is 33 minus x. Second question. I want to know a function that represents the product of the 2 numbers. What does product mean? Multiplication. I'm asking you to multiply these. Didn't you do something like this on the basketball court problem? Where it gave you had to find the perimeter, and you had to find the area, and you just solve one of those and plug it into the other one. That's what we're doing here. X plus y equals 33. The product is x times y. That's what we're trying to find. So that would be x times the 33 minus x. So that gives us 33x minus x squared. Okay. Let's say I'm trying to find the maximum product. So we now have a quadratic that represents the product. If I'm asking you to find the maximum of this, what am I asking you to find? The vertex. How do we find a vertex? Opposite of b over 2a. What is my b value?
0.
This is like a negative.
33x.
There's like a plus 0. So my b is 33 over 2 times a, which is negative 1. So we get negative 33 divided by negative 2, or 16.5. So I asked you 2 questions. I want to know the two numbers. So the first one is 16.5. How do we find y? Yeah. The other one is 33 minus 16.5, which is 16.5. So my two numbers both are 16.5. And then I asked you the maximum product. How could I find that? Everybody with me? How am I going to find the product?
Plug your input X.
Okay, we have two options. We have a formula that represents the product, so we could plug 16.5 in there for the x. So 33 times 16.5 minus 16.5 squared. So if we do that, we get 272.25. So that is the largest possible product for two numbers that add up to 33. Questions on that? I'd like to do another one along these lines. Tomorrow we're going to do some more examples, and you're also going to have some problems to do on your own. So if you take good notes today, that'll help you a lot tomorrow. Okay. This one, I'm not asking you to do a whole lot. I'm just trying to get you to think about what the two numbers would be. So I want two consecutive numbers whose product is 56. Okay, if I said you had to write an equation for this, what should I call the first number? X. Okay, then my second number. We don't really want it to be y, but they're consecutive. So how would you get the next number?
X squared. X1.
So like consecutive would be 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 6 and 7. So if the first one is x, what do you do to get the next one? You add 1 to get the next number. If I'm at 99, the next one's 100. So you add 1 to get the next consecutive number. All right, now what am I asking you to do with those things?
Multiply.
Multiply. So x times x plus 1. And what's their product equal?
156.
So you get x squared plus x. Now this is solving a quadratic. If you want to solve a quadratic, what do you have to equal it to?
0.
Alright. So x squared breaks into x. What multiplies to negative 56 and adds to positive 1?
8 and 6. Or
Positive.
positive 8 and 6.
Okay.
7.
So if we set this equal to 0, we get a negative 8 and positive 7. Does that mean my two numbers are negative 8 and positive 7? No. If the first one is negative 8, the second one we said was x plus 1. So what would x plus 1 be? Negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7. If the first one is 7, x plus 1 would be 8. So the numbers are either negative 7 and negative 8, or positive 7 and positive. Both of those are consecutive. Both sets of those multiply to 56. I never said they had to be positive numbers, so we would have 2 possible solutions to that problem. Okay. I can do another one, can't I? We have time. One last problem. A piece of property shaped as a right triangle. So what should we do? Draw a triangle. Okay. And it tells me the longer leg, so the legs are the 2 sides touching the right angle. So the longer one is 10 meters shorter than twice the other. So, do I know what to call the other one?
X.
X. All right. 10 meters shorter than. What does that mean?
10 minus.
Is it 10 minus or minus 10?
Minus 10.
Twice that one. So twice x would be 2x. So this is 2x minus 10. The hypotenuse is 20 meters longer than the longer leg. So here's my longer leg.
So
If I add 20 to that, that gives me 2x plus 10. All right, we haven't done one of these in a while, but if we have a right triangle, what's true in a right triangle? What formula do we use?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Right. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. A and B are the 2 legs. C has to be the hypotenuse. So it would be x squared plus 2x minus 10 squared equals 2x plus 10 squared. All right. What do I do?
You have to fold.
2x minus 10 squared means you have 2 of those. Minus 20x and minus 20x. Minus 40x. Negative 10 times negative 10 is positive 100. Over here, 2x plus 10 squared gives us a 4x squared plus 20x, so plus 40x plus 100. What now?
Cross out, yeah.
Okay, we want to always set our quadratic equal to 0. If I subtract over my 4x squared, those cancel. If I subtract my 40x, negative 40x minus 40x, negative 80x, subtract my 100, so I get x squared minus 80x equals 0. What would you do here? You could do quadratic formula. Is there an easier option?
Square root.
If we didn't have this x, we could do square root.
Take out an X.
Take out an x. So I get x times x minus 80 equals 0. You set those equal to 0, you get 0 and 80. What did x represent? The shortest side. Can you have a shortest side of 0? It wouldn't really be a triangle if it were truly 0. So that's not possible. So it has to be 80. So the length of the legs are these 2 sides.
752.
80 meters, then 2 times 80 is 160, minus 10. I do not have time to get through another example, so this is where I'm stopping today. Tomorrow